Peter Headlands Rhino. I'm teaching at University Club. And today I'd like to discuss different putting styles. Now there's three main putting styles over the years that we've used. And if I could use the one when I first started playing, people tended to be wrist putters. Now in those days the greens were a lot slower and it gave more velocity onto the ball. Now the wrist putting was just as I suggest, you're really just using your wrist and making sure though that if you do that, and there's still some putters around that use that particular style, nothing wrong with it except that it's very important not to break down here. And when I first started, Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer were the top players. We had guys like Norman Don Nyder, Sam Snead, who were still playing. Those two were very much wrist putters and had a lot of trouble in their latter years, mainly because their left wrist was breaking down. It wasn't staying solid through the stroke. Obviously you've got to aim straight, you've got to have your putter square. That applies to all the styles. Later on, as Jack Nicklaus became the best player that ever lived, possibly, he used a slightly different style. There's other golfers that still use that style today. And that is more of a push stroke. Now the push stroke is more of getting your right forearm on the line of your target. Now, from behind, your right elbow would be working this way. Jack Nicklaus used that beautifully and he was a wonderful player and putter, as you know. It looks like this side on where he had his right side very low, he had his left wrist set in that straight flat position and his forearm was just like a piston and it just pushed along the line. A very accurate way to play, as Jack Nicklaus proved. And of course, your alignments, once again, putter here just to square the line, but it's keeping that forearm on line, which is an unusual setup. If you'll see in the film of Jack Nicklaus, you'll realise how he did it. Then, basically, in the last 50 years, as greens have got quicker, green keeping techniques have improved, we've finished up now shoulder putts. Now, that's what most of the tour use today. And I think it's a very good way of putting. I use that way myself. Now, the advantages of it is that you don't, if you get a little bit nervous, you're not flicky with your wrists, and you're really just putting. You're just putting with your shoulders really, and arms. It's just working this way. Your hips and your knees stay motionless. They've got to be very still, and it's just a rocking like this with your shoulders. Now some people feel that they're putting with their hands and their shoulders are allowing that to happen. Some people have the feeling right from their shoulders. Either is quite suitable, but you must have your shoulders square to the line, parallel to the line. You must have your elbows parallel to the line, not like this or like that. They've got to be parallel to the same thing, they've got to be parallel to the line here, your elbows. And of course, one very important thing in putting is to have your eyes directly over that line. Not necessarily over the ball, they can be falling out just behind the ball because our ball is a couple of inches inside our left heel. And from there, we're just making a rock which is motionless from our legs and our hips. And those are the three basic styles that you'll see today, and maybe when you identify which stroke you have, you can understand some of the principles. Thank you. See you in the next putting tape.